So GRI is the largest standard setter for sustainability reporting in the world. So currently, we've been around for about 17 years. Currently, we have about 5,000 organizations use our standard to report their understanding and commitment to important sustainability issues like human rights, the environment, anti-corruption, gender issues, and so on. Currently, of the Global 250, 93% of them are actually doing sustainability reporting. Almost all of those are GRI reports. So we do several things in the marketplace. We help influence and enable policy, but we also focus on creating more reporters and better reports. So the organizations that report to GRI come from about 93 different countries. There's two things. There's sustainability reports, and then there's the process by which organizations get these reports together. It's the latter that's important, right? When you're creating a sustainability report, there's a whole process that goes in. The thing about sustainability is it touches so many different areas of the organization. So it's the process by which organizations understand their position on all of these risk areas, you know, like human rights, like the environment, like corruption issues, and so on. So as they move through that process, one output of that is a sustainability report, but other outputs are materials for investors, materials for communications purposes, how to talk to the board about different risk areas for the organization, things that we call integrated reporting, which is taking sustainability information and merging that with financial information. So it really affects many, many areas of the business. So that's really what we do in the sustainability reporting world. We don't just create sustainability reports themselves. What GRI offers is a standard, right? It's a free public good, right? So what we are seeking to do is leveling the playing field so every organization, whether it's a company or government, is using the same standard to figure out what areas are important to them, right? What are the risk areas for their business that they really need to be aware of, right? Now what comes out of that are products and services that are offered by our hundreds of partners around the world, right? So, for instance, in many of our organizations are interested in merging sustainability information and financial information with a multi-stakeholder approach, which is what we consider integrated reporting. Many services around the world that actually do that. So organizations use the GRI standard to be able to get better clarity on these issues, right? So we don't offer consulting services, we don't rate companies, we don't name and shame, none of that. We are a standard setter and offer that standard to the public as a public good. Is there a role for regulation? Of course, of course. But there's also a role for business, right? Business needs to lead in a lot of these things. One of the comments from Cristina Figueres yesterday was very much along these lines, right? Governments want businesses to lead. Businesses want at least structure, maybe not all the time regulation, but at least structure from governments to be able to define how their business will operate. GRI provides the standard by which this information is collected. Do you understand? So governments, businesses, they're all using the same standard to disclose, report, understand important issues around sustainability. So that's our role in the market. So it's kind of like cell phones, right? So there's an overlap between, you know, the different versions of G4 or G3, G2, G3, G4. So the adoption is going extremely well. We're a little ahead of where we expected to be, which is great because there's a few very important concepts such as materiality that we have put into G4. Now, back in October, we did a major shift at GRI, which was 3-4 years in the making. Is moving from a framework, which is what G4 is, to a standard setter. So you won't see a G5, G6, G7. What you'll see now is a standard that gets built on year over year over year. So it's a very important shift for us. Yeah, exactly. And this issue has been around as long as sustainability has been an issue, right? That there's a short-termism in the markets that tend to drive share price. Share price, short-term investment is only one seat at a very large table of other organizations and interests that contribute to corporate value. With the rise in transparency, organizations realizing that this information will come out. Right? The information about the human rights in the supply chain, it will come out, right? Sooner or later. And this has been shown again and again. So many progressive corporations are taking a look at this in terms of risk. Short-term share value, absolutely important, but also having an eye on these future risks is equally important. Like I said a minute ago, it may be an issue tomorrow, it may be 5 months, it may be 5 years, but it's going to be an issue. Right. So for GRI, what we're trying to do is we're trying to provide a platform on which these risks can be understood. And it's up to the organization of how they want to communicate it, how they want to deal with those impacts, and how they want to move forward. So we're really trying to bring the short-term investor and the long-term investor and other organizations who are not investors to the table to have a conversation about these issues that matter. How are we going to get more organizations to report? Absolutely. We want more transparency in the market, not less. How will we have small to medium-sized businesses? Emerging markets, extremely important for GRI, right? How are we going to promote sustainability disclosure in those markets? So when you start thinking about these organizations, you're not really talking about a sustainability report, right? You're talking about how they think about this information, how they use this information, and how they can, how this information can be used in the other things that they do. So you can see a future where there is no sustainability report, right? And I think we should all be working towards that future. We want sustainability information, considerations, and knowledge embedded in every organizational decision, whether it be financial, or whether it's for HR, or whether it's for marketing purposes, board purposes, corporate governance, you name it, right? It belongs everywhere. In the past, sustainability reports have been the vehicle for that. In the future, that may not be the case. There may be all kinds of ways that we can do that. And so as the standard setter for this, for sustainability, that's our role, is to figure out how this information can be used.